Good day, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Before I begin my presentation, I'm going to give you a brief background on the origin of Hunters Helping the Hungry program. Approximately 40 years ago in the U.S., a man was driving on the highway and noticed a woman on the side of the road bent over for what she appeared to be a road-killed deer. Out of curiosity, he stopped and asked what she was doing. She replied that because she wasn't able to afford much, this roadkill deer would feed her family with nutritious meat. After he left her, he devised the program, went to his church group, and got the program up and running. The program is known by different names in different areas. For example, Sharing the Harvest, NL, Hunters Helping the Hungry, Hunters Feeding the Hungry, Hunters Sharing their harvest, etc. So in 2008, my daughter Chloe and I came across an article about a Hunters Helping the Hungry program in Nova Scotia. It's a program for big game hunters to donate big game meat, mostly white-tailed deer in this case because of the geographical area, to food banks. Since its inception in 2008, hunters have donated almost 15,000 kilograms of white-tailed deer. They're little tiny things compared to our moose. I first pitched the idea of a Hunters Helping the Hungry program to our provincial government in 2008. It was met with skepticism and not being one to give up, so began my lobby. Why? Because I foresaw and realized the value and importance of this program. This was really indented in my mind when I had a teaching job at Salvation Army's previous New Hope Center and the George Street United Church here in St. John. Each year, I would harvest, process, and donate capelin to the clientele. Their reaction made me even more determined. Over the years, I met with many ministers and government officials, gave numerous interviews via television, radio, newspapers. I collaborated with Food First NL, the Canadian Food Sharing Association, numerous food banks in the province, Newfoundland and Labrador Outfitters Association, and even groups outside Newfoundland and Labrador. The two biggest obstacles, besides government's unwillingness for this program to become a reality, were legality and liability issues. The legality issue was that it was illegal for the meat to change hands more than twice. In other words, I could give it to you, but you cannot give it to anybody else. That was solved with a stroke of the pen, as I predicted it would be. Previously, it was never available to the public in raw form. You could have, other than if hunters had it themselves, of course, or they were making a gift to someone. It was only available in the cooked form, usually through a restaurant or to a charity group as a fundraiser. The liability issue is covered under the Donated Food Act, NL 1997, which is similar to the Good Samaritan Act. That is, no one will be held accountable if somebody gets sick when the food is donated in good faith. And that's what we're all about. In November 2020, government initiated a pilot program for the donation of big game meat. Even though government referred to it as a pilot test program, there was no turning back now. Sharing the Harvest NL Incorporated was founded. We are the only government-appointed and recognized group to be a facilitator or middleman for this program. We'll talk about the rules set up by the government. That is, in order for a donation of big game meat to be made, can only be made by a licensed hunter of the current year. In other words, if I had a license last year, I wouldn't be able to donate under this year's banner, we'll say, or 2 years ago, we'll say. The meat has to be processed at a government-approved butcher shop, like Halliday's in St. John's here, for example. That assures quality control. So in other words, if a government-approved butcher sees anything wrong with the meat, they can then say, no, we're not accepting it, and give you the reason. It's too dirty, it smells, it's bad, it's rancid, whatever, and then you would know. By the butcher accepting the meat, then that assures the quality of it, 99% of the time, we'll say. In order for the food bank to accept the donations of game meat, they must have a permit. This permit is free and is available from the Fisheries, Forestry, and Agriculture Department. That is to be renewed annually. I have a meeting with the minister next week, actually tomorrow, Minister Lovelace, and that's one of the things I'm going to be discussing with him is that I think that the food banks, once they get a permit to be able to donate, they shouldn't have to renew it each year because of the changeover of volunteers, et cetera, it could be overlooked as it was in the case in the past. There are two options for the hunter to make the donation. One, once the meat is at the butcher, the hunter contacts sharing the harvest. We then would contact the butcher to make arrangements for processing, transportation, and payment for it. And then to store it here in our deep freezer, we'll talk about in a second, until it gets donated to different food banks. The second way is that the hunter, the first way, including the first way, is that we will pay for it. I'll talk about that a little later too. The second way is that the hunter can take the meat to a butcher, have it processed, and deliver it to the food bank, him or herself, but would assume any cost themselves. Excuse me. Some more important points. One, the harvested and processed meat goes to the food bank of the hunter's geographical region or choice. It doesn't come to St. John's. And I think that's what's prohibiting some people from donating. They think that it's going to St. John's, when it isn't. However, Sharing Harvest right now is only geographically located and operates in the greater St. John's area because of volunteers, money, etc. Two, even though Sharing the Harvest season for donating big game ends in the first weekend in January, hunters can still donate right up to the day before the next big game hunting season. That is humongous. That means then that hunters have the ability to donate whenever they want from beginning of big game hunting season, we'll say September to next September. That is huge. Thirdly, these restrictions only apply to big game meat only. In other words, anyone can make a donation to a food bank with any other type of country food. So the restrictions are in place for big game meat only. A side note, I bought 10 braces of rabbits. That's 20 rabbits there this past winter. And I bought them, they were snared only, and they were already cleaned and frozen. Some were portioned in half rabbits, because some people might only want a half. In that case, then I needed the hunter's name and the small game license hunting number. Otherwise, most other country foods you don't need to worry about. The Newfoundland Outdoor Heritage Coalition Conservation Group, the Newfoundland Outdoor Heritage Coalition, NOHC, a conservation group that I co-founded, harvested a moose in 2020 under the province's not-for-profit license program by a youth hunter, my son Shane. This was made possible through the reduction of the hunting age, which I also had a very active role in. The NOHC brought the meat to the butcher, paid for the processing fee. It was then donated to Sharing Harvest, who in turn distributed packages of ground moose meat to the food banks, and this jumpstarted Sharing Harvest NL Incorporated, and we are not going back 1 inch. Why ground moose meat? And the reason why is that it's so easy to cook in so many different ways and so many different types of recipes you can use with it. Some people, maybe a lot of people, don't know how to properly cook moose. And if it's a steak or a roast and it comes out tough, what do you think is going to happen to it? It might be chucked in the garbage. That's a shameful waste of a wallet's resource and a shameful waste of what we're trying to do in the program. That's why we, Sharing Harvest, exclusively will get the meat processed into burger meat only. Hunters want to donate their meat, that's fine. We'll take steaks, roast, we'll take whatever, knuckles, it doesn't matter. But for us, that's why we prefer the ground moose meat. excuse me. I'm very proud to say that this program was the result of my family's efforts. The moose was harvested by my son. It was under my conservation group's charity moose license. This originated from an idea that my daughter and I had, and my wife, Brenda, helped with the books. We were volunteers, and we have the board of directors because we are incorporated. My other two directors, I'm sorry, I should have identified, are one, Lucas Roberts, and two, my son, Shane Fordham, because you need a minimum of 3 for a board of directors. I made a presentation to the Newfoundland and Labrador Outfitters Association in 2017. They agreed to participate, but only with government approval, of course. Since 2020, they have not only made donations of game meat, but they have also purchased 6 stand-up deep freezers and donated them to food banks throughout the province. That is humongous, with 2 just being recently there to Single Parent Association and Connection to Seniors here in St. John there just before Christmas. Humongous. But I can't read that. I can't read as fast as I'm talking, so you're okay. Through the Newfoundland and Labrador Outfitters Association, the popular Canadian hunting show, Canada in the Rough, was here hunting on several occasions the past couple of years, and they made donations to the Deer Lake Food Bank. That's awesome too, I think. On a side note, I used to be a commercial hunting and fishing guide, and I used to work for hunting camps and that, taking Americans out, people from all over the world out hunting. The Americans in particular always ask me, and I'm retired from that now. This is back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Some of the American hunters would ask me, do you have a program called Hunters Helping the Hungry? And I've always known about the program. And I'd say no, and they'd shake their heads. Because back then, the roadkill program was on the go. That's when the moose were on the highway, right? And as well, us as guides, some hunters would come in and wouldn't want any meat, would only want some meat or what. Most of them wanted all of the meat. We weren't getting scrap off them. But some would give you some. So once I had enough for we got a moose, the American got the moose, he doesn't want the meat. I bring it back to camp, we divide it amongst the guides and the cooks. Once we had our fill, we would then donate to the senior citizens home and the fire department calls. So that was canceled out, and that's what then took over the charity moose license or the not-for-profit moose license. I also, at the beginning of the program, when it got started, I also procured a new deep freezer for sharing the harvest, which is generously donated by Leon's Furniture here in St. John's. This is used to freeze and store country food donations to a lot of people. This country food has become also known as comfort food. We'll talk about that as well. The number of food banks that we donate to is increasing. Bridges to Hope, Single Parent Association, Connection Seniors, Mary Queen of Peace, Northeast Avalon, St. Kevin, just to name a few. And I just had a call yesterday from the one in the Basilica. I can't pronounce it. EMMA. Okay, sorry, I can't pronounce it. So that's pretty cool. We also make donations to senior citizens. And you see some of the senior citizens in those pictures that I sent you. That goes near and dear to my heart. If you want to, during Q&A period, ask me about some of the seniors. Although we currently operate in the Greater St. John's area, we would like to expand to the rest of the province, but that's further down the road. I've also been successful in procuring financial donations that enable sharing the harvest to pay for butcher fees and procurement of different country foods, for example. I'm currently looking to procure a financial donation, which you'll see us through this year. Update, I just got a $2,000 grant last night. Thank you very much. I'm making an announcement on our Facebook group now when time is appropriate. So it's like my AirPods came out. So why is it important for sharing the harvest to be able to pay for the game meat? Look, hunting is expensive. I go moose hunting for a week. That could cost me $1,000. Processing the big game meat, that could be another, depending on the size, it could be upwards of $500. And now you want me to bring it and give it to a food bank? So with sharing the harvest having the financial ability to pay for it, it makes a huge difference. Although we're still not seeing the volume that I would like to see. I'm a little impatient with those kinds of things. But last year, for example, we had 2 full moons donated. The year before that, I believe we had almost 5 full moons donated. So it's getting better and more better words getting out.
Hi, excuse me, Barry.
Yes.
Hi, Reverend Gail here. There's also with regards to like the moose license and all that, the churches can actually get a license for that
Yes,
themselves.
indeed. Yes, indeed. As long as you're a registered not-for-profit
That's right,
organization, you
which
can
all
apply
churches
for
are, right?
it. Sorry,
Which majority of the churches are.
I don't know, but I would say you know better than I. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
an opportunity there for individual churches to tap into that, get the moose license or whatever, and that then food can be shared that way.
Your name again is
Reverend Gail Williams, Tom's Williams, here in Cartwright.
Hi. Great to talk to you. I used to work over the Eagle River, and I know Stuart and all the guys. Oh my God.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yeah,
God.
my husband works over there now at Pratt Falls.
Oh, right. That's where I used to work
Okay.
back in the day. It wasn't known then. But
When
what I was going
Jesus was a boy.
to I like that one. Uh, what I was going to suggest is that uh, it seems to be a problem in communication, and that is that a lot of food banks still don't know about the program, and a lot of people still don't know about the program. What I'm suggesting is that the not-for-profit group, church group in your case, or whatever group you might be, put out flyers, start circulating news and letters, and let people know in the community that this program is on the go. By letting them know, they will then maybe be more open to making a donation of the moose meat.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they don't know, whereas most don't, and that's something else I'm talking to the minister about tomorrow is more visibility in for sharing the harvest to the hunters. But that'd be a way to go to increase the number of donations for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll just get back to where else was it to? Okay, here we are. Thank you. Um, so initially, when we formed the group, we were focused on moose and caribou meat, but now we've expanded to what we call country foods. It's basically what we hunt, fish, grow, forage. Examples like capelin, cod, blueberries, partridge berries, moose, caribou, rabbits. Just a couple of months ago, seal flippers. Awesome. That went over well too. I bought them, of course. I bought them off Taylor's truck. Although for you ladies in Cartwright, I stood over the hole in Northwest River waiting for one to bubble up, but never did. Pretty exciting though. Last month, what have I been doing? I'm in this meeting today. Last month, I was invited to a Zoom meeting by a group called Feed Ontario. They're kind of like the Canadian Food Sharing Association here. They're like an umbrella group. They asked my experience and advice on how to set up a similar program there in Ontario, like sharing the harvest here in Newfoundland and Labrador. They are struggling with the government, the same as what I struggle with the government. I was invited to another Zoom meeting a short while ago, which involved Indigenous groups in Labrador who are trying to introduce country food into the long-term care facilities. Awesome. Initially, food bank clientele was surprised by these country foods were available to them. But now they're calling ahead now and asking, "Do you have any country food in the freezer?" Awesome. Look, the hairs of my arm standing up again. This country comfort food, besides being a nutritious meal for individuals and or families, I've learned it accomplishes much more. For senior citizens, it reminds them of days when they were younger, perhaps hunting or fishing themselves. Comfort food. We had one delivery went to a senior citizen when the delivery person went to the door, knocked on the door with the hamper of food items, he looked in the box, which was not closed, I don't think, and he looked in and said, "What's that?" And she said, "It's a rabbit." And the gentleman started to cry. And I'm more of an emotional man these days too, so excuse me. For families, it's also special because it is a special meal. It will take special preparation. The kids most likely will help. It will probably be served at the table instead of in front of the TV with conversation about it, which promotes quality time spent together. After the announcement, I could have sat back and said, "I did it." But I knew that it would be forgotten and unsuccessful. If sharing the harvest is going to be successful, it has to be active both by being in the media and making donations, and that's why I'm working so hard. My goal is to make it a successful program so that when I step down and pass the torch, sharing the harvest will be a household name.